Here's an analysis grid that I think's very useful. It's much richer than the standard textbooks contain. The standard textbooks normally contain just the top right hand quadrant, but I've got two axes here, and the horizontal axis is taking us from people who are strongly positively motivated through to people who are strongly negatively motivated. And one of the things that we need to recognise in a project's environment is the people who are positively motivated typically don't take action until the project's victory in what it's trying to achieve is a foregone conclusion. But the people who are strongly negatively motivated will take action at every opportunity because they fear or see that they are going to lose out. In the vertical axis, I have not a range so much as two positions. At the top of the page, I have people with the power to prioritise the use of resources. So those are anybody in the organisation who's in a decision-making position over the sponsoring or this is a good idea versus this is not a good idea. So there's a lot of politics at that end of the spectrum. At the other end of my diagram, at the bottom, is the folk who have the expertise to create the outputs from a project and take those through to be the outcomes for the organisation. And the first question to pause the video on is, what would you do with the folk who are in this corner? So you're the leader or the manager or the participant, and what are the characteristics of the folk in this corner, and how does that lead you to have dialogue with them? What's the communications plan say for the folk that are here? So pause and think. Welcome back. Hopefully what you identified here is that if they are powerful and positive, you can ask them for assistance, ask them for resources, for example. The next group to consider are these. So again, pause, welcome back. So these are folk who are positive but not powerful, and my suggestion to you is that you want to increase their power, and the way to do that is to group them together, because that will increase their ability to act in a powerful way. The next group that I'm concerned with are these folk here. What are their characteristics, and how would you communicate? What would be the content of your communication with them? Again, pause to consider. Welcome back. So these folk are largely neutral and have an opinion worth listening to. So I would suggest that these are the folk to ask for guidance, because they're neither biased for nor against you. I also hope that this is where the folk in the governance positions that grant approvals are. In fact, I'd like them to be slightly to the left in this diagram, because I think that our debate and arguments should sway them, not they should start with a predisposition to say yes. If the organisation is going to thrive, then people need to see that the debate and the argument has good points to it and is proposing something worthwhile. Now next is the most difficult quadrant, I think, to propose what's appropriate here, because this really is the territory of rampant politics. So pause and consider, what do you do here? Is this welcome back? So I think this is the territory where you have to decide, what's your view of the politics? Do you leave it to somebody else? Because ultimately this is the area which is the sponsor's concern and issue here. And if you're taking a role in how do you deal with the people who are strongly negative and powerful, then you are stepping into political territory, and that may be appropriate. But it's very common that the folk who are involved as project manager and project leader are more on the expertise to create than they are on the power to prioritise side of my vertical axis. It's not wrong for you to get involved, but you do need to consider it. There are a group of folk here, and I hope the answer to what to do with them is simple and quick when you consider the group on the far side. So this might be welcome back, but my answer to you is I suggest you keep these folk separate. And then the next question is, what do you do with the folk who are in the middle here? And the common answer is ignore. However, I don't think that is a wise answer. What I would say is monitor in case either you got it wrong in your assessment and they weren't really there at all, or their position moves. People in organisations get promoted, they might group together, etc. Well, that's half the diagram.